full given name is Theodore Christopher Nicholas. I was born in Jamaica Hospital in Queens, New York, and I grew up in Elmhurst. I spent most of my childhood there, but then I had my formative years in upstate New York in Middletown, New York. I feel like I'm an urbanite and a suburbanite. I think you have to be good at lying in order to tell a story. Writing, I think, is something that just came natural to me. I was definitely one of the top people who lied the most and could make people believe me, I was very good at that. I started writing comic books, very narrative-based stories, Horrible monster comes from outer space and is going to destroy the world. I grew up in a very cramped apartment in Queens. I never felt truly at home. It wasn't a very peaceful home. This imaginative world was a great way to escape, to get away from all of that. Kind of how I started telling stories and basically lying. I'm working on a play that is tentatively titled Final Fantasy, but that may change. It's a narrative, character-driven, naturalistic play. It deals with adolescence or more specifically teenagers and violence. I started writing this, I think, 2 years ago, and it was kind of an attempt to challenge myself to work non-experimentally. I want this play to kind of take place in 2 time periods. 10 years ago, when these characters were in high school, and then 10 years later when they're 10 years out of high school. Do these characters change? How did they change? What is the catalyst of change? The only way I can work on the plot of the play, I think, is to write it in a linear fashion. Write Act 1 linearly and then Act 2 linearly, and then work from there to play with how I want it to be presented in terms of the non-linearness of time. That time is constantly flowing, that the past and the future are interchangeable or in flux with each other. At the reading next week, I really hope that I get to hear the play read aloud in a way that I can access as an audience member instead of too fully as a playwright. I feel mostly when I'm working alone, this could be cut, this could be changed. To actually hear it being read aloud by other people is kind of a way for me to get out of that mode and enjoy it. Well, the first thing would be how we present theater to children. It will be really hard for you to make theater. If this is the only way that you can express yourself and artistically or as a human being, then just prepare yourself for the battle that it's going to be. Number 2 is the lack of diversity in theater. I want to see more people of color on stage, voices of color. I want to see more female playwrights being produced everywhere. Also not heteronormative. It's trans, it's queer, it's diverse in every way possible. This kind of goes back to number 1, but it's MFA programs. I think MFA programs are what's killing American theater today. As if getting a BFA or an MFA are what constitutes the seriousness of your career. You go to college, you live in a bubble, but that's not actually living. Working a job, going out in the world, seeing what's out there, listening to other people's voices, absorbing that, and then spewing that on a page, and that's the reality of the world that we live in, If people want to be trained, they should work with theater companies. Theater that experiments, that destroys convention, that is diverse, strange, and haunting. That's the type of theater that excites me. I drew a stage. In the middle of the center of the stage, it's a black ring, and in the center is just this empty void. The void is the emptiness that we fill, both as artists and as audience members.